Welcome to the Dripping in Black podcast, where we celebrate Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Here's your host, David V. Lewis.
What's up, good people all across the world? This is the Dripping in Black podcast. I am your host, David V. Lewis, and per usual, we have another fantastic guest who represents Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Today's guest is Rayshard Tucker, aka King Ray. King Ray saying hello to the world.
Hello to the world. Hello, world. How you doing?
All right, so we're going to get into a little discussion. Just talk a little bit about your story. It's an interesting one. But let's begin by introducing you to our audience. If I was to say, who is King Ray, what would you say?
A husband, a father, a brother, a mentor, and a guy from Brightmoor that chases his passions and is addicted to checking things off of the list, bucket list, so to speak.
Okay, so tell the world about Brightmoor. I mean, you know, us from the city, we know about Brightmoor, but give them a description around the world of what Brightmoor is.
All right, so it's a little neighborhood community in Detroit, in between Detroit and like Old Redford, Michigan, but it's known as one of the worst parts in Detroit, on the west side. So if you tell somebody you're from Brightmoor and they from Detroit, they'll be like, ooh. So, but I do talk about that because, a lot of my friends that I went to elementary school with, or say like my second grade picture or fourth grade picture, like a lot of the people in that picture aren't here anymore. Wow. Due to something crazy in the neighborhood, or they in prison or something like that. So for me to be able to make it out without going to prison or being shot or something like that, it's an inspiration to the people that come from neighborhoods like that, where they tell you, you from here, you won't make it, or get an opportunity to succeed. And so I always bring up where I came from, so that I can let people know that you too could, exceed your circumstances, or you don't have to just be a product of your environment.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing to kind of unfold as we speak. So you grew up in Brightmoor. What schools did you attend?
I went to Burt and Murphy, and then I tested out and I went to Martin Luther King. I was in the CISE program, which is for commerce and international studies. So I tested there. I got accepted to Cass too, but all my cousins and my grandmother and everybody in my family went to Cass Tech. So I wanted to go to the other school. Like I've always been kind of a person that danced to my own drum. So it was, just as good of a school. And another thing, like if you're from Detroit, then that Cass and King is like Bloods and Crips almost. So
yeah.
So my decision to go to King made all my family mad because they all Cass alumni. But I just wanted to not do what everybody else was doing. And then I definitely didn't want to go to Redford because I didn't think I'd make it out, because that's where all my homeboys and everybody that I grew up with. And I used to live around the corner from Redford. So, it's easy to skip. It was easy to get distracted. And I made sure I got out of that situation.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you went to King, and I'm happy that you did it for the reasons you did it. I got a very close friend who went to Cass Tech, and he just gets on my nerve with his Cass Tech talk. So I'm glad that there's somebody like you out there that feels the way I feel.
Absolutely, man.
So post high school, what goes on with you?
Wow. So it's a lot of layers to my life. So after high school, I went to a Bible college called Rainbow University, Rainbow Bible College, and then I went to Roberts University too. So in my younger days, I got saved at like 16 years old, and then I went into like actually speaking and preaching. And so I went to a Bible college, and I picked up pastoral studies and finance, and then out there, me and my friends started um, a music label. I started off doing gospel rap music in the early years where it was kind of unheard of at the time. So this is like 99. So it was only a couple of us doing it, 2000. It's like Kirk Franklin Stumps was like a big song at the time. So
yeah.
So I was a gospel rapper. I had my own label, my own publishing company. And then we set up shows and stuff all over the country. But I had a certificate to preach too. So a lot of the churches would like our group because our group could speak too. So, and they'd pay us more to preach than to rap, but we sold a lot of CDs. I mean, I sold like 5,000 CDs out the trunk, which was a lot for an independent label.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 23, I got a distribution deal from Sony Red to put out another album. But by that time, I had kind of been exposed to a few things in the ministry that I wasn't too happy with. And I decided to step out of, business of ministry. But, even today, I really do the work in the neighborhood still. Like I'm still mentoring, I'm still helping. We're still working with women and children and protecting our people. So I haven't changed much, but I don't do gospel music anymore. So, I mean, I still rap, but it's not like gospel music, but it ain't no curses or nothing in it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's I'm afraid if I go down that path, we'll really get off.
Yeah.
So we may have to have you come back or sit on the panel.
Yeah.
On
that.
Listen,
Anytime, bro. Anytime. And
because it's a story that needs to be told, right? There's something there, and people need to be aware, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a story to be told in there. And it's funny, like I went from I'm doing that, and then I go into doing secular music and putting shows together outside of the church, and I end up running a nightclub. So it's like I went from like church to the club, and, so it's a lot to unpack in between there,
Yeah. So, and for transparency, we have like a pre-recording discussion, and we learned about you managing a lounge. You didn't mention the pastoral part and the church part in the pre-recording meeting. So I was having that same thought, like, wow, he went from this to that. Very interesting story in itself. But let's get down to why we invited you on. And you are the owner of Pizza Man Pizza.
Yes.
Right. So talk about that. How did you get into that?
The pandemic, actually.
Okay.
When we had the shelter in place, as I was saying in our previous conversation, I also have an art gallery, and I've been known to do events and put events together. So my primary business kind of got shut down because we couldn't gather. So people can't come to the art gallery and see the art or listen to the music or see a comedy show or anything else that we put on in there. So we just sitting at home, and me and my wife and my son, we getting pizza like every other day, multiple times a week. And another thing, where my story is in Highland Park, I also have 4 other commercial properties. So the pizza place being the 4th, I got an opportunity to get some space, and it had the ventilation thing for food, and it was already in there. So it was like, oh man, all I gotta do is add the ovens and the fryers, and, some refrigeration, and we can start selling food. And so my wife's like, what you thinking about food? Because I'm not really a food guy, or like I didn't go to culinary arts school, and I wasn't trying to. But in our community, it's no food over there in Highland Park.
Yeah.
So for 2 miles, it's only a Coney Island in a 2-mile radius, and that's ridiculous when there's actually people there, and especially Black people. So my primary goal was to go in and feed my people. And so it's like, well, what kind of food you gonna sell? And I was like, pizza. I knew the pizza was pandemic proof because it was like, even we couldn't go nowhere and we could stay in the house. It was like you could still order some pizza. So I got to kill, two birds with one stone, so to speak. I come up with a business that was pandemic proof, and also feed the people in my neighborhood. Other than this one Coney Island that doesn't really treat people that well. Some people outside of our culture, when they feel like they're the only ones servicing you, they feel like they can kind of treat you and talk to you a certain way, and I don't appreciate that. But instead of trying to boycott that place, I just gave you something better across the street. We treat you better. We speak to you. And it's funny, like that Coney Island, they used to close on Sundays. Now they open on Sundays. They used to treat you real bad. Now they, how you doing? And, what I mean? But that's the kind of pressure that I wanted to apply anyway. Like, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna treat us like human beings. You're gonna be respectful. And if not, we'll create things around you so that we don't have to come to you.
Yeah. And that's such a low standard to have, just treat us like human beings.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was about to say, I could go down a whole rabbit hole about the fact that we are actually fighting for civil rights. Like we're fighting for you to be decent to us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in America right now, you can get in trouble, more for fighting some dogs than shooting a black man. And, that's unfortunate. And, it's a sad story about America, but, I think in the next few years, I think we'll apply enough pressure that, things will start changing. And like I said, instead of me crying about it, I jump in the street and put my own skin in the game, and we change things. So, at my art gallery, we did like a protest mural. So it's a big 3,600 square foot picture of Malice Green with a scroll with all of the names of people that's been brutalized by the police and killed that were unarmed. We tried to go back to 1979, but it's too many names. So then we tried to go to like 92, and it's too many names. So it's like now it's about a few years worth of names, and then some of the ones And so, but anyway, so we during that time where George Floyd had passed away, we had a silent march in Highland Park, and it actually ended in front of the mural that we did.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm really interested about that, but also interested about the Piece of Man, piece of business. So it's one of those things that COVID actually helped to create.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm curious, how do you obviously you have some things already in place, right, to set you up to do that. But walk me through the steps to get you from the idea of a Piece of Man business to actually opening it.
Okay. So first was the idea. So it was like, okay, we're gonna sell pizza. And then it was like, all right, what you gonna call it? I'm like, Pizza Man. Like that's what everybody ever called the delivery man,
Yeah.
Pizza Man coming, Pizza Man at the door, And so I looked it up to see if anybody had the name, and I was like, nobody has his name.
In shock.
Boom, boom, here we go. You know what I'm saying? Pizza Man, Pizza LLC, let's go. And after that, what originally happened was it had came across my table that you can franchise a Little Caesars for $15,000. And so I was like, well, if you could franchise for $15,000, I could probably start one with $15,000. And so, normally I take like my own personal money. This time I went into my family's account, like me and my wife's money. And I was like, baby, we gotta do this ourselves. So we just took $15,000 and started buying up stuff, and the rest was history. Really, just you set up the account, you open your business account like any other business. So you establish an LLC or incorporate, however your preference is based off of whatever decisions you make. Tax ID, open up a bank account, and then what we did was we went to wholesalers and opened up those accounts like Restaurant Depot, GFS, wherever we can get food wholesale, Sam's Club. And then we took some time and we just kind of was making pieces, like just burning up pieces to create a style. Because not only do I want to just sell pieces, I want it to be a special experience. So it's a unique piece of experience. So, you know, when you come, or if you Google Pizza Man Pizza in Highland Parks, you're gonna see all these pictures of this funny looking pizza, like it's an original style of pizza. So what happened was we had came up with a style, and you know, we felt good about it, so we started practicing that like you would normally do before you open. And we were going to open for just like some family and friends to come and try it. And so we got this style, it's unique. And then one of my guys messes up the pizza, and another guy fixes it or tries to fix it. And it's like a braid almost he put around the pizza. And I was like, that looked kind of sexy. Let's see if that cooks well. You know what I mean? And so put it in the oven, and it came out, and it was like, oh yeah, now we got it. You know what I'm saying? So what people most like about the pizza is that it's unique, and when you bite into the crust, it has the toppings in it too. It's a technique that we created right in there. So I'm in the process of patenting that as, you know, Pizza Man style of pizza, because nobody nowhere else does it at this time.
Yeah, dope, man. So a couple of questions. How long has Pizza Man been open?
Since January.
Okay. And how's it going? How's it going?
Oh man, fantastic. I'm actually, I don't know if I can be at liberty to really say it yet, but I'm actually now we have a deal with a major retailer for taking baked pizzas and all of that to come out in September. You know, September. So in a couple of months we'll be launching a new thing, and it'll be in a lot of stores. So
okay.
It's a beautiful situation, and so it's been a major blessing. It's been an overpouring of support. We've been busy every day. I'd say in a year's time, it's going to completely change my family financially. And it's looking to be one of the best investments that I've done ever.
Yeah, man. So having just met you, man, I'm already inspired by you. You see an issue, you address the issue. You don't complain about the issue. Maybe you do complain, but you don't stay there, right? And then you do something about it. So let's delve a little bit into the art gallery, how that came about. Give us a name,
all right,
you know, and what's going on with it right now.
It's called Hamilton Tucker Art Gallery, and again, it wasn't a lot of places for the eccentric artists from here to show their stuff.
Yeah.
And what happened was, it was actually inspired by, I used to have a loft on top of a club downtown called Nikki's. So I used to live on the 6th floor in a loft on top of a club called Nikki's.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, like you look out the window and the people mover go past my window, and it was a really cool spot. So a lot of artists would like to try and show their stuff there. So it'll be a lot of private parties and showings and things of that nature. So what happened was, I lived there, and they didn't do well with repairs. And so like something would go wrong, and they'd be like, well, can you fix it and take it out of your rent? Give us the receipt and we'll deduct that from your rent. And like, you know, after like 2 or 3 times, man, I'm like, I can buy my own thing and take it out of my rent when I need to fix something. You know what I mean? So I told my wife now, but my girl at the time, I said, look, I'm about to come out of this loft. And I'm gonna buy a building and fix it up. And, you know, a tangent to that story is, it was a building that I wanted to do a haunted house in, and I'm an event planner. So I want to do this event in this church, the old church building. And so I was asking the pastor, like, can I rent it for 2 months? And he was like, well, if you add a couple zeros to it, you could just buy it. And it was like right at the time that I was like, I'm about to buy a building anyway,
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave me a number. I said, can I pay it off in 12 months? He said, yeah. Can we do a contract to pay it off in 12 months? So I moved out of the loft. I moved in with my girl, which was kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I took my money that I was paying in rent and the money that I was making from the club, and I bought my own building. And then we started fixing it up. I had my first show. It was a comedy show in there. It wasn't even art. It was like a comedy show, which is an art form. So to me, all is fair and music. So that's how we started the Hamilton Tucker Art Gallery. It was really, I was running a club at the time, and it was a lot of parties and things that people wanted to do. A lot of things that people wanted to do that wouldn't fit in the club, like logistically.
Yeah.
Logistically, we made a certain amount of money in bar sales, so we'd average like $7,600 on a Saturday. Now you got this really cool art show with some R&B music playing and some paintings, but it probably won't do $7,600 on the average. So I can't do it on Saturday, but that doesn't mean that it's not dope. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it on Saturday. So my goal was to create a place that we could display more artsy type of party and put it on Saturdays without the pressure of trying to deliver that bar sale.
Yeah, man. Dope stuff. I feel like we can probably talk on and on and on. I do want to zone in on a few things. I'm an educator by trade, and one of the things that I try to impart upon students is there's just a lot of different ways that you can take your life after high school.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I'm interested in your story. And I just don't think when you graduated high school you thought, I'm going to be a pizza owner, so you got there organically, right? What's my question is, what's a common thread that kept you throughout from high school to where you are now that allowed you to get to where you are?
I always chased fulfillment.
Okay.
It wasn't about money. I always wanted to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I always wanted to control the land under my feet.
Okay.
But even in high school, actually, to tell you the truth, in high school, I had a candy business with 3 employees.
So I've heard the candy business part before, but I have never heard of the employees as well.
Yeah, I had, it was me and my boy Steve, and then we had 2 more people in other schools. I was making about $250 a day in high school, and it was like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a millionaire by 21, But I've always been trying to get to earn money and do things that people couldn't take away from me. And as I grow up older and being an African American, it's probably just some deep-seated trauma that was passed on from my grandfathers and stuff, because so many things were taken away from African Americans. Or when we try to get a job, we got to do 3 times the work to get, a third of the recognition. And I always was in a space where I don't like people to, not just, I don't like people telling me what to do, but like, I don't want another person that based on their emotions to be able to control the outcome of my life. So I've always wanted to, I put my own money in, and I've always been hustling. I remember when I started the candy thing, I had came to my mother and was like, can I borrow $50 and can you get a Sam's Club membership? And she was like, what? I'm like, The Deca store only sells certain stuff. The vending machine is too high. I'm gonna sell the stuff in the vending machine at a realistic price. And because I was a decent student and I'm, mannerable and everything, so the teachers didn't mind me doing, like, one of my econ teacher would let me do the first 5 minutes of class in candy sales, just because it was a lesson in economics as well as.
Wait a minute. So they actually taught economics in school?
Yeah, we were blessed to have a teacher.
I'm being facetious because they say we don't teach these things in school, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe you weren't paying attention. But go on. That was more about me than you. Sorry about that.
No, I know, but like there is a paradigm that happens in school and a thought process.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of school, or the thought line of school, is to teach people how to be good enough to get a job.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that is the right way to handle, especially an African American man, where those people don't want to give me the job.
Right.
So I can't just be good enough to get the job.
Right.
I have to find ways to create residual income. I have to find ways to be my own boss, because my name is Ray Shard. I don't pass the resume test. Who I am off rip,
Yep.
And so those are things that we have to. So I think more in our neighborhoods, it should be an emphasis on entrepreneurship, real estate, and investor trading. Skills sets, mechanic, plumber, things of that nature, because those are jobs that we can make a lot of money on our own without, passing the resume test or the paper bag test, or, and I think that those kind of things we need exposure to in our neighborhoods, because that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's a both and. I think we need all avenues open to our kids, not just this one size fit all. And, you got to get A's and B's and go to college type deal. That is a good avenue for some.
Right. And if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or engineer or teacher, like, it's no way around that, what I mean? But I think, like people going to school for liberal arts, like, you wasting money. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. You
wasting money. Somebody should be like, okay, what are you passionate about? And then we start to develop those things. So.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't mean to run off on a tangent about it.
Bruh, I mean, we got so many things that we can talk about. It's ridiculous that I've learned in the last 10 minutes. And so we'll definitely chop that up. I want to ask this question again, because it's about inspiring. We're celebrating who you are and what you've done, but inspiring people that may be a younger version of yourself. So, like, what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome to get to, I know it's a bunch, so let's just deal with the piece of business alone.
Right. Challenges to overcome in the piece of business is, pretty much the same, like funding. Like, I pretty much had to get it out the mud, so to speak. There's no lending institution that will give you a loan to start your business that you just started. You need like 2 years of financials. And like, how do you get 2 years of financials and it didn't exist before that? And then, so I would say the hardest part is starting. I believe that a lot of us have a lot of great ideas, but we tend to try and wait for the perfect weather or the right amount of money to start. And sometimes you got to just leap.
Yeah.
And in inspiring the next person to come, I would say, do it. Actually do it. If you need money, try to work harder at whatever job you have, take that money and continue to flip it. Like I said, I had parties to buy a building. You know, take whatever your thing is, parties, or you work at McDonald's and you make $200, you know, add some extra hours on there so that other 150 that you make in overtime or extra hours, you put that away, and you know, in 10 months you got $1,500, and then you take that $1,500 and you know, put it into whatever you're trying to do, and then continually work yourself out of working. Now, what I would suggest to my younger me would be, you know, keep the job and just take money from the job. Like I jumped off the cliff, like, man, you know.
So I got an interesting question. I wonder, and this just popped up in my mind. Would you, if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, and knowing that you took your own money and did it, now you go back in time and now somebody is really willing to loan that money to you, would you still stay the path that you took now, knowing what you know now?
Depends on the terms.
Okay.
Like if somebody believed and they're like, you know, give me a percentage on the back end or pay me back X amount of dollars in interest, those types of situations I would take. Mm-hmm. Now, you got a different kind of investor where people give you the money and then they think they own you because of that. Mm-hmm. And then so depending on the situation and the terms, if I would lose my creativity or my freedom, mm-hmm. then no, I wouldn't take it. But if it was in a situation that was digestible, yeah. And also what I would tell myself in the past is that I remember when I was younger, everything I felt like I was running out of time. I felt like everything had to happen right away and I ain't got time. Yeah. You know, opportunities aren't always there, but you have forever to prepare yourself. You have, you know, 4 years of studying something is no time really. Mm-hmm. You know, I was actually just telling my godson who just graduated from high school that I still have fresh memories in my head from when I graduated from high school with your dad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that feels like yesterday, and that was 20 something years ago. Yeah. So what I would tell my younger self is, you know, 4 years to plan something in a long time. Yeah. 2 years to build your credit ain't gonna kill you. Mm-hmm. You know, if you go into school, the 4 or 8 years for your degree is not really that bad. If that's the lane you're going in. On the flip side, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I would pay my dues being an entrepreneur. Yeah. And again, this is my opinion, you know, it's not, being an entrepreneur, I would spend more time being an entrepreneur than going to college. Yeah. I would do whatever, continue education seminars within what I'm trying to do. Yeah. I would do that. And I actually left school after my associate's degree from Oral Roberts because of my econ teacher saying something crazy in class. So what happened was I'm sitting in the third row. And at this time, I used to manage a swing dance club. And we used to have like Christian parties, like big Christian parties while I was in college. So I'm making a lot of money. I got like $4,000 in my pocket on the regular as a 20-year-old, you know, and I'm not a dope dealer. So it was, you know, that's a decent amount of money, you know. Yeah, no doubt. So we make, you know, 8,000, 4,000, 10,000 on parties. So and then I used to work for a credit card company and I made like $16 an hour back when gas was 70 cents. So, you know, I was doing pretty well for a young person. But anyway, so I'm sitting in the econ class and I'm in the third row. Now at this point, I got employees, everything. The smart kids are in the first 2 rows, and it's the stadium seating style classroom.
Yeah.
So the guys in the back are like throwing papers at each other or cracking jokes and everything. And the people in the front are like, oh, we trying to learn, and complaining about them making a lot of noise. So my economics professor looks up, he says, hey guys, settle down. These guys are trying to learn, Then he turns to the kids in the first 2 rows and say, don't get mad. Don't get too mad at them, because statistically, one of you guys is going to work for one of those guys up there. Because,
wow.
yeah. So statistically, the C student, the guy who drops out, ends up being the CEO. And the people who get A's and B's end up being middle management for the CEO guy who didn't even finish. So I'm sitting in the middle, like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? I want to create jobs. I want to get a job for one of these dum-dums in the back, And so that day I called my mother right after class, and I said, Mom, I know you want me to get this degree, and I'm going to stop here at my 2-year because this isn't the place for me. I want to create jobs. I don't want to get a job, and just based off of the situation that I just heard, I'm not about to give them more money, to be something that I'm not trying to be. And, that's it. I'm sorry.
That's great, man. That's a great story, a great lesson. It's a great dynamic. It's scary as well. That means the world is being owned by dum-dums. So I don't know if that's completely accurate, but I can see the sentiment of the teacher as well. But we definitely will have to wind this particular episode down. I want to give you a chance to list off some of the things that you have going for you. So we know we got the Pizza Man, but also the art place. List the names, and if you have social media, list those off for us as well.
Pizza Man Pizza, pizzamanhp.com. On Instagram, it is Pizza Man HP. On Facebook, it's Pizza Man Pizza HP. The Hamilton Tucker Art Gallery is hamiltontucker.com. Hamilton Tucker, everything on social media. Myself is King Ray Tucker on IG, Twitter, anything. You can type King Ray Tucker and it'll pop up Ray Shar Tucker on Facebook as well. You'll see. So far, I've had an interesting ride. So you'll see some great stories about things that I've done in our social media, places I've been, things that we've started. You'll see pictures of me serving the community. You'll see, my family life. Yeah. And then Pizza Man Pizza is so important because I actually don't know of a Black pizza parlor. And then that we started in the neighborhood, and then that we'll be able to be in some retail shops. It's like we making Black history every day. Yeah. And it's just something that me and my wife are really proud of, and that we've been able to take care of some families in the same aspect as give people great food. And it's been a tremendous amount of support. Please come see us at Pizza Man Pizza. We're on DoorDash, we're on Grubhub, and you can walk in the store. And then pretty soon we'll be in a retailer where you can come and pick up pizzas as well. But yeah, so the pizza is so important because it's like we're feeding our people, but it's also giving our neighborhood self-esteem and something to be proud about. And so I stand outside and I talk to the people. We're next to a gas station, so the gas station people who ask for money, I talk to them. Mm-hmm. I feed them. I pay them to clean up the parking lot. I give guys jobs to pass out flyers. I also show our employees how to start businesses of their own. So we dive into what your passion is, and we help you. I want to be a launching pad for the next thing or whatever you're trying to do. That you don't just stay here and work forever. Yeah. That you actually create a pizza man of your own. So we try to do that as well.
Okay. All right. We will have to stop there. I have one more question. The final question of all of our podcasts is a very simple one, but it's the most important one. And that is, have you ever been on the cover of a magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the magazine?
It was like an independent music magazine called Elements with a Z.
And that was for your.
It was for music.
That was for your religious hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, no.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've lived a pretty interesting life thus far, and it's only fair that you make it to a magazine cover, in my opinion. And so one of the things you get when you come on the Dripping in Black podcast is you get featured on the Dripping in Black cover.
All right, that's cool, man.
All right. So you are a Dripping in Black alum from season 2, and that is your Dripping in Black cover.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I need one of those to put on the wall, like how you got it in the back, man.
We will package it up for you and mail it out to you. We'll get it out to you. That is a parting gift. I'm gonna put a stipulation on this one, with the stipulation that you come back and talk to us a little bit more, because just much more for us to kind of kick it around about.
Absolutely, love you, man. Thanks for having me. First and foremost, and I'm very proud of what you guys are doing with the Dripping Black platform. That's an amazing thing, and more stories need to be shared like this. I see some people on the wall that you've interviewed before. I'm very proud of them as well. So it's really cool to see our people getting celebrated, and I'm glad that you guys are celebrating, Black people on this platform.
Yeah, well, we thank you again for gracing us with your presence, and we ask the audience to hang on for the last segment, The Last Drip. Thanks again to King Ray Shard Tucker, Pizza Man Pizza.
All right.
Dripping in Black thanks to Ray Shard Tucker, aka King Ray, for sharing his inspiring story of Brightmoor kid turned successful businessman. However, we have reached the final segment of our podcast called The Last Drip. The Last Drip is the last opportunity for us to squeeze in a bit more of Black excellence for you. In this final segment, we highlight a common thread between our guests and our vast and rich African American history. For this episode, we head to the South to honor the legacy of Black entrepreneur Arthur G. Gaston. Born in 1893, Gaston grew up in the small town of Demopolis, Alabama. When Gaston returned home after serving in the Army during the World War I era, he began his entrepreneurial pursuits by selling meals and affordable burial insurance to the Black community. In 1923, he started the Booker T. Washington Insurance Company with just $500. In the late 1930s, he opened an insurance company and funeral home in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. In the early 1950s, he opened the state's only Black-owned savings and loan. Arthur Gaston became one of America's first Black serial entrepreneurs. Gaston developed a business empire estimated at more than $30 million, which included the Smith & Gaston Funeral Home, the Gaston Motel, and the Citizens Federal Savings and Loan. By the 1960s, Arthur G. Gaston, was probably the richest Black man in America, as well as a leading employer of Blacks in Alabama. Gaston was also a sponsor of Black cultural events, as well as a major financial contributor to the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Throughout his adult life, Arthur Gaston mirrored his success in business with his behind-the-scenes financial backing in the fight for Black civil rights. For his tremendous life and legacy, Arthur G. Gaston is this episode's last drip. For more on Arthur G. Gaston, check out blackpast.org, npr.org, and kinginstitute.stanford.edu. My thanks to all of these websites for the knowledge. The story of Arthur Gaston is just another example of the untold and undertold stories of Black excellence. Anything that you can think of that is excellent in this country and in this world, Black people have done it. I just implore you to go out and search our history. Remember, it's not taught in our schools as it should be, but it's a plethora of examples of Black excellence if you so choose to seek it. All right, so that's my last opportunity to implore you to do that for this episode, but I'll be coming back with another one next time around. My thanks to my audience. Remember, you can find us on all major platforms for your audio podcast experience, but also on the DIBK channel on YouTube. Also subscribe. We want your comments. Feel free to like and share. All right, that'll close us out. And until next time, be kind, be loving, and be excellent on purpose. It is a choice.
You have just experienced a Dripping in Black production.